Greetings. Hello, everyone. Many blessings to you all. May you be well and safe. Today, we are starting with meditation. As I wrote it on the explanation of today's talk. So sit yourself. Greetings. Hello. I'm happy to see you. So before we close our eyes for meditation, maybe I just set the alarm already. I wrote on the explanation of today's topic that we would meditate for half an hour. So I'll set the alarm. I assume that still some people will be coming, so we start slowly. But as you are already there, you can make yourself comfortable. Sit wherever you sit upright. Whether that be on a chair or may that be on the floor, wherever you are, however you are sitting, the most important is that you keep your column vertebra upright. And to begin with, take some deep breaths. And with the first breathing out and the second and the third deep breathing out, release all tension, all unwholesomeness. Everything that might be bad, just release it with the breathing out. And with the breathing in, you take in fresh air, energy, and oxygen that is refreshing you. After having taken some deep breath in and out, start to check again on your breathing body, on the upper part of your body. Make sure that it is relaxed and upright so that only those muscles and sinews who are necessary to keep you upright are working. All else should be relaxed. Check again your colon vertebral. It should be upright. That is important so that the breath can flow in and out of your body all by itself. And so that all the organs of your body, of your upper body, can just fall according to gravity. Check your belly. There shouldn't be any tension in the belly. The abdomen should be also relaxed. Then check upon your shoulders. Your shoulders should be relaxed and open. Make sure that they are open, not like falling to the front, not pulled up or in any way. Be other than relaxed. Then check your tongue. When your colon is upright and your chin and tongue are relaxed, the tongue falls automatically with its tip towards the teeth. So far you're not doing anything, just checking whether you are relaxed. Check again on your belly. That's where we have a lot of tension usually. That's where we control. Try to give up all the control and just let that belly just hang out. and you know everything is relaxed, then turn your awareness to the sitting, whether on the chair or on the floor, whether in full lotus, half lotus, no lotus at all. You should feel the bones. You should sit on the bones and feel as they touch the ground. And you know that you're sitting. You can even name it when you know it. Say within your mind silently, sitting. And with this sitting, you give up all responsibility. You give up all control. And you just sit there. Unshakable, as it is said in the suttas. Uninjured, unshaken, unwavering, sitting. Go therefore several times and say to yourself, when you know that you're sitting on that floor and you can trust so far, you can trust that floor. It holds you. Sitting. And with every breath, and with every repetition of the knowing that you are sitting and the naming that you are sitting, you get to where you are. The sitting is here. Sitting is now, every moment. Then shift your awareness a tiny bit towards the breath. The abdomen should be totally relaxed without any tension and without you taking control over the breath. Of course, there are plenty ideas as to where the correct point would be to observe the breath. For the time being, observe it by just watching your belly. Or by watching your chest as it is rising and falling back, or your abdomen rising and falling back. when you observe how the breath is coming into your body. You can name it and say, rising. And when it goes out, you can say falling. Sometimes when we calm down, in-breath and out-breath, becoming long and soft. So we can say rising, falling. And when we hear us saying that, we know this was a long in-breath, that was a long out-breath. Other people or other situations may give rise to a short breath, and then you just have the time to say rising, falling, rising, falling. And once in a while, remember sitting. There you are. When you hear a sound, you can also name that, because that's hearing. You can name hearing. 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 When you think something, you say thinking. Thinking. There is no hearing, no sound to hear, and there is no other sensation or phenomena. Just observe the breath smoothly and softly going in and out. And you remember to become aware of the sitting also. was quick. Thank you for joining the meditation. As I said in the announcement of today's talk, I wanted to say something about when times are difficult and we feel overwhelmed. I think this is what where we ended last time. I mean, we always end there, you know. It always, the questions are like that. Like, how can I cope with this life, with when it's so difficult and overwhelming? And I thought, instead of giving you again some texts and some words of Dhamma, which also, of course, are what surely helps. But I wanted to think of when there were overwhelming situations for the Buddha, what did he do? Because the Buddha, when I read the suttas, he definitely came into situations that when I would come into such a situation, I would feel overwhelmed, most probably. Or it would be a challenging situation. So I was thinking and reflecting, what did the Buddha do then when he got into such situations? And so I remembered, well, I'm thinking of a situation, for example, when the Buddha had to do with monks that were fighting. So much so that is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, they were so much in fights and quarrels that they even told the Buddha to shut up and mind his own business and let them decide, let them finish their quarrel. So that is when the Buddha just left. He just went away without anybody letting know that he would. Either they would stop fighting or he would go. No, silent. He just took his robe and bowl and left. So that was the one story I was thinking of. The next story was when the Buddha met with a sick person. I don't know how that sickness is called in English, but however it was called, that person, that monk whom he met, he was dying, and he was laying on the floor in his excrement and urine. And when the Buddha saw him together with Ananda, he just helped him. He asked Ananda to get some hot water, and the Buddha himself started to clean that person, started to wash that monk. And then when the other monks stuck their noses into the doorframe, he said to them, well, you should do that for other people. That is the second story I was thinking of. Then, of course, there is a story when the Buddha encountered several people. There were several situations, so several suttas, where the Buddha encountered calamity in form of people talking bad, for example. One example is that the Buddha was accused to have killed a woman, but it was, of course, not him. It was somebody else. It was one of the somebody of the other sects who wanted to defame the Buddha and wanted to get him jailed. So out of jealousy. And Ananda said to the Buddha, we must leave, we must go, they put you in jail. And the Buddha said, no, we stay. It will all be okay. They will find out. And they did not run away. So that was another story. Then there was that Chincha who tried to accuse him of having impregnated her. Then there's the story of the Buddha was meeting with a father of a monk, and that father was not amused that his son had become a monk. So he accused him, he scolded him, he tried even to beat him, and he wanted to prevent him from getting alms food. So that man tried to deny him entry into Savatthi. And then, probably the most challenging thing that I would remember was when the kingdom of the Sakyans, after quite a long time, I think, when the Buddha was already the enlightened one and had been teaching for many years, and there was peace because of that in that area. But then there was a drought. And the neighbor country started to take the Sakyans to war. It is said about the water, rights on the water. And the Buddha came there, and it is said he said the water red of blood. And so they killed each other, and he didn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't even prevent it. Maybe he could have, he tried. But so large parts of his family were killed. So these examples of the Buddha coming into situations that for me, or probably all of us, would be kind of shocking or overwhelming. If somebody would accuse me that I would have killed somebody, I would freak out. If I would see my family killed, I would freak out. I'm having a strong meditation, I know that, but that would probably be too much. So let's look at what the Buddha did then, and how can we do? in the case of the Buddha meeting with those monks who were noisy and annoying and quarreling, and he just left. I think this is a very strong example that one thing that we can do and that we shall do is when other people are not listening to us, trying to calm down a situation, then we should just step away. We should just step out of that situation and do not get involved any further. He later went back to those monks and taught them. But by him leaving, they understood, whoa, there was most probably something that was wrong that we did. And I noticed in earlier years that there was a person I had encountered, I was in contact with. And for that person, the contact with me was kind of important. And so that person had an alcohol and drug problem. And instead of getting involved, I stepped out and said, well, you gotta stop that. Otherwise, I'm not available for you. I'm not looking at that. So you either stop that or I'm gone. So for that person, the contact with me was important enough to really get the strength to stop. And so sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes stepping out, not getting involved, is a really strong message and will be heard and seen. And it's a way of impacting the world, or at least the people around us, not the world, maybe. I think, yeah, I think most probably Putin wouldn't even take notice if I'm saying, well, I'm out of here. So it's not helping in every circumstances, but there are certainly moments when we can use that as a means to solve the problem we're in when it's about quarrels around us. So when we think, for example, of the situation with Chincha, that was a situation when the woman put a wooden belly and pretended to be pregnant and impregnated by the Buddha. And she went into an assembly and said to the people, look at this one, he impregnated me. So the Buddha just said, well, Chincha, only you and I know the truth. That was all he said. And he did not waver or shake or try to blame her or try to discuss or try to defend himself. The truth came out when the belly of that woman fell off. So in such a moment, like when we are accused of wrongdoing, that is normally the moment when we want to roar up and want to defend ourselves and go against what is being said. So maybe there is no need for that. Maybe just going to our breath and observing it and trusting truth will show. Maybe that will make us calm enough so that truth really shows itself. And the thing is, when our mind is pure, there is no need to get nervous. There is no need to defend yourselves. Because what needs to come out will come out. Maybe it takes some years, but let them people talk bad about it. Let the people blame you, blame their faults on you. It's difficult to bear. But bearing up with it, I think, even if we lose a lot, I think in the end we will gain a lot. I think nowadays the thing that might overwhelm us the most is a changing world with climate change, with the pandemic, with the war coming closer and closer. And for many, many people already a reality that they never wanted. And even here in Germany, becoming really, really notable. Like things get so expensive, like gas is almost not available. So these things can really scare the hell out of us. And we can be overwhelmed by our fears. Even when nothing happened yet, fears can be so strong that only the thought of what could happen becomes so terrible, terrible. As terrible almost as if we would see the people dying. So what then? When we are overwhelmed by fears, the world is shaking and breaking up. All that we worked for, all that we stood for. My entire life, I was a European. I never was a German. I was always a European. Now Europe is in danger. And parts of Europe are at war with a country, another country. That is unimaginable for me. But it happened. And it's scary. And that the things are coming towards us. Like, these mountains, that are come crushing in on you, that the Buddha is mentioning. So with every breath, we notice things are changing. We notice life is is suffering, really. So, and we don't have the time, and we don't have the possibility to just sit there and lament. And so many people are going into depression, or are having anxieties issues, and so many people are receiving medicamentation to calm down, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help the people, and that doesn't help the world. What would really help is that we sit back as we did earlier, that we sit on our cushion or on our chair, and we observe our breath and become unshakable. Remember the sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 4, Bhaya Bhairava Sutta, where the Buddha explains when we are overwhelmed by fear or anxiety, we shall try when we are walking, just to continue walking. And even if there's something scary or a sound, we shall not turn around or look, just continue walking. And if you sit, you wouldn't stand up. And if you sit, you wouldn't go, or when you will lay down, you wouldn't get up. No. You would just focus on what you're doing and just remain doing that. The fear comes because we don't want to change. We don't want any change. We're clinging to as it is. But this probably won't happen. It never happens that things do not change, do not alter. Things always change and alter. Yeah. So we cannot change that. We can run against it, like how you pronounce it in English, Don Quixote, in against the windmills, fighting against windmills that are imaginary. Or we can stop fighting and go to our breath and let things be, not get involved. But when we can help, then we do help. Like I gave the example already, when there was that sick person and the Buddha came by and he saw that this person needs help, he stepped in without any question, without any hesitation. And that we can do. We can step in when we are needed. And do what needs to be done. I mean, I know it's easier said than done. It's always like that. It's easy to talk about it. And when you are there, out there in this world and at your work, and somebody is starting a quarrel, or you have a boss that is toxic, or a companion who is toxic, but you need to have that work because you need to pay your rent. That is difficult, but I think really honestly to stop fighting and not to take the toxicity in, but to leave it just where it is. That would be the best that we can do. All this running against, all this fighting and all the hassle and thinking that we do, and thinking over the words and the what we wanted to say and what we should have done and all that, let that come to an end. And it's a decision to let that come to an end. It's the decision that needs to be made that we want to stop getting involved, except for the situation that you come across and you can do something. And when what you can do is wholesome and skillful, then do it, of course. Do you have any questions? Please go ahead if you have something to say or to ask. Just type it in the comments. I'll read it. Okay. If no questions, oh, there is a question. Yes. Um, what is considered engaged Buddhism? Valid question. Good question. Yes. What is considered engaged Buddhism? I think it's a Buddhism where we do what we can do, where we can do it, but also a Buddhism where we continue to practice and always look that we um, create peace for ourselves and for others. So for me, it's not like joining in an uproar or something, but meditations of hundreds or thousands of people, that would be a perfect example of engaged Buddhism, if you ask me. There are probably other people, or if it comes to sharing, engaged Buddhism would be that you share what you have, and that you try to overcome your greed and your hatred and your delusion and help other people to do the same. That for me would be engaged Buddhism. But I don't know whether that would be common agreement. For me, it's very important that everything that we do as Buddhism leads to peace of mind for ourselves and others. Like the Buddha said, um, when it harms another or when it harms yourself, then don't do it. There's another question. Dear Ayya, how do we discern when to stay out of kindness and help in a difficult situation, and when to walk away out of kindness towards ourselves? Oh, that's a very difficult and that's a question. Yes, definitely. I think the answer really is maybe what I already said. When you understand this will harm the other person or this will harm myself, then we shouldn't do it. But if it's of harm, or if it is of harm for anybody, we really shouldn't do it. But if it's beneficial, even if it harms us a little bit, we can do. And I think it takes maybe a little bit of practice, and then we know, then we learn how to discern and how to distinguish between a situation where we understand here my greed is getting me involved or my dislike is getting me involved. And once we learn to take away greed or delusion or hatred out of our actions, and we can look at situations maybe with a little bit less of these, then we start to understand where we should help and how we can help. And it's also try and error. We're not perfect. We're not the Buddha, so there is no mistake. That it's not bad when we do not know, and when we fail. That needs to be clear, that we're not perfect. How can we act when the people we love are being hurt or abused, but they don't want help, but we know we can help? Well, that's difficult because I think you need to stay very, very close by and observe and jump right in if that other person really gets harmed, but against their wish, you shouldn't get involved. And that is difficult. I know that. But do not abandon that person. Even if they want to chase you out of their lives because they want rather to cling to an unwholesome situation than letting you help, you stay close by and observe. How about loving, non-violent, direct action to stop violence and terrible discrimination against others? Yes, if that would be possible. I mean, there was Gandhi, a great teacher in non-violent actions that really were powerful, but also at a great cost for the people who were doing it. Just remember, they demonstrated, workers demonstrating in front of a fabric, no, their industry. So, and the guards beat them up, and they were not many people. So they got beaten up, went to the back of the demonstration of maybe 100 people or so. Then the next row of people got beaten up. Some women took care of them, cared for their wounds, and then they had another round of being beaten up again. So you need to be ready to really be non-violent and accept that other people would harm you because they are not non-violent. They use violence. That's the normal thing. So if you are ready to do that, sadhu. Yes, if you can, then do. Okay, I think it's time to stop. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Be at peace. Bye-bye.